This is not a message I wanted to deliver, but I was woken up in the middle of the night, trembling, overwhelmed by a presence that was not of this world. The angels came to me urgently. What I saw, what I heard, shook me to my core. And you need to hear it too, before it's too late. This is your heavenly emergency alert. Stay with me, because the message from the divine is urgent, clear, and it's for you. Type Amen and subscribe if you believe in God. It's not easy, is it? Watching the pieces fall apart while still believing God is forming something greater. Sitting in the in-between, the space between who left and who's coming, between what was lost and what is promised, can feel like exile. But even in that space, even in that dry, uncertain place, God is still building. He's building your endurance. He's building your discernment. He's building a new you. Sometimes, the greatest healing doesn't come from receiving something new but from releasing what no longer fits. Releasing what's been weighing down your spirit. Releasing the need for closure. Releasing the explanations that never came. Releasing even the version of yourself that was shaped by pain, shaped by performing, shaped by attachment to people who never had the capacity to love you fully. This is the sacred untangling. The holy unraveling. The kind that precedes destiny. Because the truth is, you weren't just letting go of a person, you were letting go of a pattern. A way of seeing yourself. A way of thinking small. A way of defining worth through the eyes of someone else who couldn't even recognize their own. You were made for something bigger. But that bigger life requires space. And God loves you too much to let you carry what would compromise the fullness of His promise. So, when people walk away, when opportunities fall through, when doors shut suddenly, don't assume it's punishment. Assume it's preservation. God is not just calling you to something new. He's also calling you away from something that was never meant to last. And yes, it hurts. But pain can be prophetic. Pain has a voice. And often it says, look again. You've outgrown this. You're being called higher. Don't fight the stretching. Don't mourn the pruning. The vine does not curse the gardener for cutting away the branches that no longer bear fruit. The vine trusts that something healthier, something more abundant, is on the other side of the cutting. You're being pruned for purpose. So, if you're weeping in this season, know that you won't weep forever. What feels like an ending is a clearing. What feels like isolation is actually divine separation for preparation. There is someone coming who won't leave. There is a door opening that won't shut. There is a season rising that won't steal your joy. But you'll never meet it if you stay shackled to what left. God knows how to restore. And not just with replacement but with transformation. He's not in a hurry. But He's never late. He saw the tears. He saw the betrayal. He saw the moments you stayed silent when you wanted to scream. He saw the loyalty you gave, the prayers you lifted, the hope you kept alive even when it was heavy. And He's not wasting any of it. Every heartbreak is being woven into a harvest. Every loss is making room for life. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Positioned to carry glory. Positioned to receive the love that mirrors how God sees you. Positioned to walk into rooms your former self would have never believed you could enter. So say it out loud, even with trembling lips, I release what wasn't meant for me. Say it again, even if your heart still aches, I trust God to restore what I cannot understand. Say it until it becomes your rhythm, I make space for more. I welcome greater. Because greater is coming. And you'll look back on this chapter and see it clearly, it didn't end you. It freed you. It didn't ruin your story. It rerouted your story. And the new beginning you've been aching for. It's already unfolding. Keep walking. Keep believing. Keep letting go. Because God isn't done. He's just getting started. There comes a moment when the familiar no longer fits, not because it's necessarily wrong, but because you've grown. You've expanded. You've stepped into a new awareness of who you are and what you carry. And sometimes, when you outgrow your past, it doesn't go quietly. It clings. It fights. It tries to keep you contained. And the test is not in whether you can fix it, but whether you can walk away from it without guilt. Some of the greatest moves of God happen in silence. He doesn't always announce the shift. He simply gives you peace when your surroundings no longer match your spirit. The tension you feel, that uneasiness, that sense that something's ending before you're ready, that's not confusion. That's confirmation. It's the Spirit whispering, this no longer serves the version of you I'm raising up. And here's the hard truth, you can't heal while still holding on to what broke you. You can't walk into your promised land while begging Egypt to take you back. You can't live in the new if you're still negotiating with the old. So when God says, let go, it's not rejection. It's redirection. He sees the people clapping for you publicly but doubting you privately. He sees the relationships built on your silence and sacrifice. And he knows that if you stay too long in rooms you've outgrown, your purpose will start to shrink. That's why he's breaking you free. It may feel like abandonment, but it's actually adoption, into something holy, something sacred, something stronger than you've ever known. God isn't just pulling you away from what was, He's calling you toward what is. And what is better. It's more aligned. It's more fruitful. It's more peaceful. But it's also more you, the real you. The healed you. The called and chosen you. This new season requires authenticity. It demands clarity. It demands boundaries. You can love people deeply and still let them go gracefully. You can bless what was while refusing to shrink back into it. You can honor the past while refusing to stay imprisoned by it. God is not asking you to forget everything. He's asking you to release it. Release the guilt. Release the need to explain. Release the hope that they'll come back changed. He's replacing what you lost with what is lasting. And if you feel like you're walking alone right now, just remember, Jesus often walked alone before performing miracles. He withdrew. He grieved. He separated. Why? Because elevation requires consecration. And consecration starts with separation. So don't resist it. Let the tears fall if they must. Let your heart break open if it must. But after that, rise. Because this isn't just a goodbye. It's a graduation. To freedom. To purpose. To divine fulfillment. The familiar is behind you. And the favor is ahead. Let's walk forward, together, with God leading every step of the way. There's something sacred about the space between what you prayed for and what God promised. It's the stretch. The ache. The seemingly never-ending silence where it feels like nothing is happening, yet deep within, everything is being rearranged. That's where grieving meets glory. Because when God asks you to let go, it's not to leave you empty. It's to make room for His fullness. But first, you grieve. You grieve the potential. The version of the story you told yourself. The memories you still hold with shaking hands. You grieve not just the people but the identity you attach to being with them. You grieve the investment. The dreams. The future you once saw so clearly. And God says, yes, cry. Let it pour. Mourn what could have been. But know that I am writing what will be. And what I write cannot be shaken. There's glory in the grief because it means you cared. You showed up. You gave your all. And even though it didn't end the way you thought, your love was not wasted. Your heart was not foolish. Your hope was not in vain. It was all seen. All counted. All gathered like sacred oil to be poured back over you when the time is right. Because the glory comes not from avoiding pain, but from trusting God with it. And when you do, something beautiful begins to unfold, your capacity expands. Suddenly, your tears become rivers of understanding. Your heartbreak becomes a bridge for others to cross into healing. Your story becomes a testimony that breaks chains and revives weary souls. You don't just survive the loss, you transcend it. And that's what makes the enemy tremble. Not just that you were hurt, but that you kept believing anyway. That you kept showing up with a yes in your spirit, even when your heart was bruised. The glory of God is not some distant, untouchable light, it's right here, in the middle of your mess. In your cracked voice praying, I don't know what you're doing, God, but I trust you. He honors that prayer. He builds on it. He creates from it. You are not where you used to be. You may still feel fragile. Still healing. Still learning how to breathe without the weight of the past pressing on your chest. But don't underestimate what's happening underneath the surface. Seeds are taking root. The pruning made way for the promise. And you, yes, you, are being prepared for a glory that won't fade, that won't leave, that won't ask you to shrink in order to stay. So don't rush the process. Don't force the closure. Don't chase what walked away. Let it all fall. Let it all break. Let it all burn, if it must. Because from the ashes, something holy is rising. And this time, you won't have to beg for it. This time, you won't question if it's love. This time, it will feel like peace. This time, it will reflect the version of you God always saw, even when others couldn't. So wipe your tears. And walk forward. You're not just being healed. You're being glorified. And the grief that nearly broke you, It will soon be the altar where your praise is louder than ever. You made it. You're making it. And what's next is holy. Sometimes it's not until everything breaks apart that you begin to understand what was keeping you bound. The prayers you whispered in desperation, God, show me your will. God, help me step into what you have for me, weren't unanswered. They were being answered through the loss. There are seasons where God doesn't say no to punish you. He says no, because what you're holding on to is too small. Because what you've settled for can't go with you where He's taking you. Because your identity was too tied to what needed to leave. You didn't fail. You outgrew the season. You didn't lose. You were released. You didn't break down. You broke through. Sometimes the fire isn't meant to destroy you, it's meant to reveal you. To burn away every illusion, every lie you believed, every false comfort that gave you just enough to stay stuck. When the familiar leaves, clarity enters. God is not cruel. He's intentional. He sees how long you've been surviving on crumbs, hoping for more, praying for a breakthrough, while quietly accepting less. So He makes a divine decision: I love you too much to let you stay here. And in that moment, things start to shift. The friendships you thought were solid begin to fade. The relationships that once felt like home begin to feel uncomfortable. The doors you tried to open start to close without explanation. It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means the assignment changed. And when God changes the assignment, He'll begin to remove what no longer serves the next version of you. You won't have to force it. You won't have to explain it. You just have to trust it. You are being rebuilt. Reformed. Refined. Not because you weren't enough before, but because He is making you more aligned now. You're learning how to walk without the approval you once craved. You're learning how to love without being loved the way you deserved. You're learning how to carry peace even when the answers haven't arrived yet. God is building resilience in you, not to harden your heart, but to strengthen your soul. So that when He sends what's next, you're ready. So that when the new doors open, you can walk through them healed, whole, and holy. This is the beauty of being rebuilt by fire: you don't look like what you've been through. You carry wisdom that only comes from loss. You carry compassion that only comes from surrender. You carry a testimony that only comes from walking through the valley and refusing to die there. And those ashes, they don't define you. They are the evidence that you survived. That you chose growth over comfort. That you trusted God enough to release what hurt, even when you didn't know what would come next. You may feel tired, but don't stop now. The rebuilding isn't punishment. It's preparation. You're not being punished for loving. You're not being punished for trying. You're being positioned for promise. And when the restoration comes, and it will come, it will make sense. Not just because you see what God was doing, but because you'll finally see who you've become. Someone stronger. Someone wiser. Someone ready. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're being rebuilt for greater. Let the fire do its work. Your future is rising. There comes a moment in every God-led journey when you realize that what you lost was never meant to be your limit. It may have felt like everything. It may have shaped your dreams, your identity, and your sense of stability. But when it left, or when God asked you to lay it down, He wasn't stealing something from you. He was revealing that it was never the source. God was always the source. And what He has for you cannot be shaken, stolen, sabotaged, or silenced. You may have poured your whole heart into something or someone who couldn't hold the weight of your calling. You may have built a life around a chapter God only meant to last for a season. But here's the truth, just because it was good for a time doesn't mean it was meant for a lifetime. God allows some things to fall apart so you can see what He's building is far greater. You may not have seen the cracks. You may have ignored the warning signs. Or maybe you were so committed to loyalty that you didn't realize your soul was slowly shrinking to keep something alive that no longer carried breath. But even now, even in your questioning and uncertainty, God is faithful. He's showing you what you couldn't see before. He's healing you in places you didn't know were bleeding. He's clearing space for joy, for purpose, for destiny, not defined by people, but by His promise. Letting go isn't about losing control. It's about surrendering to the one who already holds the full picture. God's not done with your story. Not even close. In fact, what felt like an end is actually the beginning of the part He's most excited to write. Because now, He has your full attention. Now, you're finally in a position to receive, not just emotionally, but spiritually. He's going to restore you in such a way that you'll look back and say, "Thank you, Lord, for not letting me stay stuck in what I thought I needed." Because what's ahead isn't just healing, it's wholeness. It's alignment. It's legacy. It's destiny dressed in peace. You will no longer have to convince people to see your worth. You will no longer have to dim your light to be accepted. You will no longer have to tolerate what drains your spirit. You are walking into a season where the connections will be God-ordained, the doors will be divinely timed, and the opportunities will be soaked in grace. What you thought you needed, God is replacing with what you didn't even know was possible. You didn't miss it. You didn't mess it up. You didn't lose the best part of your story. You are just now entering it. The clarity you've been praying for. It's coming. The provision you've been waiting for. It's aligning. The love you've been holding out hope for. It's being shaped in the secret place. And in the meantime, you are being made new. Don't underestimate the beauty of this becoming. Because when God restores, He restores in abundance. Not just back to what was, but forward to what will be. You haven't seen your greatest joy yet. You haven't walked through your strongest doors yet. You haven't met all the people assigned to bless and build with you. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep surrendering. What you lost was never the limit. It was just the invitation to step into limitless grace. Sometimes the most painful goodbye is the very thing that sets you free. It doesn't feel like a gift in the moment. It feels like betrayal, abandonment, confusion. You replay the conversations in your head. You wonder if you could have done something different, held on tighter, prayed harder, or showed up better. But what if the goodbye wasn't rejection, it was redirection? What if the very thing you were grieving was the barrier between you and your next breakthrough? God doesn't just remove people, plans, or positions on a whim. He moves with intentionality. He subtracts to multiply. He closes doors to preserve. He uproots to replant. And while it may seem like everything is unraveling, in the spirit, things are actually coming together in ways you can't yet perceive. You see a loss. God sees a launch. You see a breakdown. God sees a birthing. You see rejection. God sees a release into purpose. It's not always about who left, it's about what was being made room for. God will allow exits when it's time to evolve. He will disturb what's comfortable when your calling demands more. He will stir your spirit with unrest when your soul is ready to rise. You are not forgotten in the farewell. You are being ushered into fullness. The space that feels empty is about to overflow with presence, divine presence, clarity, favor, peace that surpasses understanding. That goodbye. It was the beginning of you walking fully into who you are. Let go of the need to have closure from people who were only meant to be part of the construction crew, not the permanent structure. Let go of the guilt for choosing growth over familiarity. Let go of the blame for what others couldn't carry. Let go of the lie that it's too late, or that you're too broken to begin again. You are not too late. You're right on time for the next move of God in your life. And what He's bringing into your life won't have to be chased, convinced, or tolerated. It will be confirmation. The right people will recognize you by your spirit. The right doors will open not by force, but by favor. The right opportunities will stretch you, but they won't steal from you. This is not just a new chapter, it's a new era. One where you walk in rooms no longer questioning your worth. One where your voice no longer trembles to speak the truth. One where you carry power not from your past pain, but from God's presence. Don't underestimate the beauty in the goodbye. It's where many of the greatest testimonies begin. Because when God says, "Let them go," He's also saying, "Watch me bless what's next." He's not asking you to grieve forever. He's asking you to grow forward. The gift is coming. The purpose is rising. The divine exchange is in motion. And on the other side of this goodbye, you're going to meet a version of yourself that finally feels like home.